Hi, this is Carrie, your instructor, and this presentation is going to be about MLA formatting and guidelines. And I'm making this video and we're using some students' papers to try to look at what proper MLA formatting is and what improper MLA formatting is. The first thing I want to make sure is that you do have your basic MLA guidelines handout. So it should be the handout that has this title on it and then has the sample of an MLA paper. So I want to make sure that you have this handout ready to take some notes and that you also have your paragraph and outline out to also take some notes as well, so that we can go ahead and walk through how to get this done. Okay? So this is going to be just a little dicey because I'm switching back and forth between documents, so please excuse the crudity of this particular presentation. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and look at this student's paper. Okay. Now you're going to notice some different stuff on this paper, and I want to make sure that we're looking at what MLA guidelines require and what we need to do as writers. Now MLA guidelines are a standard guideline across all English classrooms in the U.S., especially at the college level. So this is not a Carrie guideline or anything like that. This is a committee of people who get together and decide what everybody should be doing that is the same. So because of that, I just want to make sure that you understand that MLA guidelines are a standardization across all colleges rather than just something that happens in my class. Okay. So you're going to notice some interesting things about this document. And the first thing that you're going to notice is that, for instance, we have some font here that's in gray and some other font that's in black. Now you'll also see that my cursor changes when I'm over that font. So you'll notice that I have a straight cursor when I'm over the black and I have an arrow when I'm over the gray. What that arrow and that gray font means is that is information outside of the typing area of my paper. When we're dealing with MLA guidelines, we're dealing with the entire paper, but we've got to make sure that we know what area of the paper we're dealing with. So everything in black is the typing area, and everything in gray is the outside or the margin area. So first I'm just going to kind of concentrate on what our paragraph looks like right here. Now typically if you have both your paragraph and outline in the same document, you want to make sure to have your paragraph on the first page and your outline on the second page. If you have them in two separate documents, that is perfectly appropriate. That's okay for now. Not a big deal. If you do have them in the same document, though, we do need to make sure that you do have your paragraph first and your outline second. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to drag it up and I'm going to drop it. Then I'm going to insert my page break. If you don't know how to do all this, that's okay. Skype with me and I'll teach you how to do it all. Okay? But I do want to make sure that we have our paragraph on page 1. And then our outline, if it is in the same document, does need to be page 2. Or if you have them in two separate documents, it will be page 1. But your paragraph, regardless, should always be page 1. Okay, so let's go back to the MLA guidelines for just a moment, because I want to make sure that we're looking at some of this information. We're going to try to follow along. So the first one says that you need to print your paper on white, standard 8.5 by 11 paper and keep it as neat as possible. So obviously, because we're online, we have a lot of digital submissions, so this doesn't exactly apply as often, but if you are in a classroom, your papers need to be submitted on white paper, not parchment paper, not resume paper, none of that stuff, not pink paper. You definitely want it on white, regular, standard 8.5 by 11 paper. The first major hurdle for most students is that the margins need to be set at 1 inch. So let's go back over here to Ernesto's paper, okay, and we need to make sure that it's set at 1 inch. Some of you are missing this ruler at the top. If you are missing this ruler at the top, this button over here to the right can make your ruler disappear and appear. So let's go ahead and make it appear. Now Ernesto did this well because notice that he has 1 inch margins here because it's at 1 and goes approximately 1 inch. Most of you might actually have 1 1/4 inch margins. If you do have 1 1/4 inch margins, go up to the tab marked Page Layout, go into Margins and find your 1 inch margins. The margins that are highlighted in yellow are the margins that you have set on your paper currently. The one with the star is a custom setting or a normal setting. So we typically want to go to normal, but we also need to be careful for the default. If your paper is on default, it is set at 1 1/4, and notice that it looks a little greater than 1 inch, and you'll notice that our material moved in. So we need to go back and set that at 1 inch. So your margin should be 1 inch, top, bottom, left, and right. So notice here's the top, here's left, here's right, and down at the bottom here's our other 1 inch. Okay, so that of course covers our 1 inch margins. Now here's the other thing that, that tends to confuse a lot of students, is that the entire paper from top to bottom needs to be double spaced. So when you go in and you look at a paper, we need to make sure that the entire paper is double spaced. Whenever you do any kind of formatting on a paper, the thing that I always encourage you to do is to hit Select All. And that's over here in the Home button. You see the Select tab over here to the right. And we're going to click on it and go to Select All. And the reason why is because you want these changes to go to everything within your typing area. You'll notice that this stuff at the top did not highlight. We're going to go over why that happened in just a little bit, but the fact that it did not highlight means that it's not going to get the same formatting that we're doing right now. So I'm going to go over here into Page Layout, okay, and I'm going to make sure that, first of all, that our spacing above and below are both 0. So I'm going to go ahead and make that 0. Some of you have a 10 right here at the after. Your before and your after for spacing both need to be 0. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the Home tab here, because I love to push buttons. I'm going to go over here in this paragraph box. Now this means that this box has everything to do with formatting your paragraph. I'm going to hit this one that has the little up-down arrows on it. I'm going to open up this menu, and it says 2.0. That means that we are going to double space it. Okay? So it should look something like this. Okay? So as of right now, you'll notice that we actually fixed some of the spacing that was in here. So if I go back to what we were a second ago, you'll notice that it was greatly spaced here and not as spaced here. That was because of that 8 after spacing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to what we have done. Okay. Now typically my advice is that whenever you take your finger off the, whenever you take your hand off the mouse or take your hand off the keyboard, go right back up here and hit this little disc. And this little disc will save it back to where you got it. And you want to make sure that you're always sending it back where you got it so that it doesn't get lost. Okay, so that's how to change margins and double spacing. Now for this class, the font needs to be Arial and size 12. If you did any kind of research on the internet, it may have told you that you could also use Times New Roman, which I believe is what this is in, or you could use, possibly it might say that you can use Calibri. And then it also says that you can use Arial. I tend to have an astigmatism, so I can't read Times New Roman without getting a headache very quickly. So everything in this class needs to make sure that it has Arial as the font. Now Arial's nice because it's easy to read and it's bigger than Times New Roman. So you definitely want to make sure that if you're trying to be nice to your instructor, use Arial. But regardless, the size for the entire paper is supposed to be size 12. So let's go back and let's take a look at what that would mean. So again, I'm going to go into my Home tab. So make sure you're in your Home tab. I'm going to go into my Select All, because what I do to one, I want to do to everything on the page. And you'll notice over here that it says Calibri size 11. If either of these on your computer are blank, it means that you have a bunch of different fonts and a bunch of different sizes. We need one font, one size for the whole paper. So I'm going to go to Arial, and I'm going to go to size 12. Now you'll notice that now the stuff in the gray definitely doesn't match the stuff in the black, and that's a problem for us. But again, we're going to fix it when we get there, so just be patient. But we do need to make sure that it is Arial, size 12 for the entire paper. Alright, notice it does say no title page unless the instructor requests one. Some of you are title page junkies. Some of you are also report cover junkies. And unfortunately, most of your instructors do not want the report covers. They're big, they're bulky, they're slippery, they take up a lot of space, they're hard to carry. So report covers pretty much are on the no-no list unless an instructor asks for it. But title pages are often the same way as well. Most of what you're going to be doing is single topic papers, so it doesn't really need a title page. But title pages are usually used when you do several portions of a report, like say a book report where you would include an author's page and a works cited page and things like that. In that case, you would probably want a title page, and your instructor would ask for one. Otherwise, no title page. So 6 is the fun part. So create a heading on the left side of the first page with your name, your instructor's name, the date, the course, and the assignment title. So you'll notice that if you look down, the heading on the page doesn't match my requirements exactly. That is fine. You can do it just as this one does. Just make sure that you have 5 pieces of information on your paper versus the 4 that MLA requires. So you definitely need to have your name. You definitely need to have your instructor's name. You need to have the course and section. This one does not have a section. You need to have a section. You need the date, and you need to have the assignment title. And that's because you want to make sure that your teacher knows you've turned in the assignment, even if it doesn't look anything like it was supposed to. Always have the assignment title on there, okay? So let's look at the difference between a heading and a header. Let's go back over here to our Nestor's paper. Okay, so a heading goes on the first page. A header goes on every page. So your header will carry from page to page to page, but your heading is only on one page. So whatever you put in this area up here at the top of the page, outside of the typing area, carries to every single page. So this is why we see Ernesto's heading on every single page, and we don't want to see that. The only thing we should be seeing on every single page is the page header. So just to make sure, and make sure to write this down, this is the header, and this information over here, the 5-line information, is your heading. We need the heading to be in the typing area. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move his heading. So I'm going to double click up here, and it should open the header box. Double click. Yay. Okay. Then we're going to highlight the heading. I'm going to go over here to home, and I'm going to cut it. Then I'm going to double click on the typing area. I'm going to put my cursor here at the very topmost part I can put it, and I'm going to go over here into the home, and I'm going to hit paste. Okay. So now you'll notice that our heading is suddenly black, and you'll notice that our header up here is gray. Now when we were in the header, you'll notice that it turned black and everything else turned gray because we were working in that area. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and click back out. Now what you'll also notice is here, whereas heading copied on every single page, you'll notice now it does not. That's how we know we did it right. Okay? But you'll notice again that the font and size are not correct. So I'm going to go in here and to select all. I'm going to go up here, and you'll notice that now the 2 boxes are blank. Now as I said before, when the 2 boxes are blank, that means that you have different fonts and different sizes. We want to make everything the same font and the same size. So I'm going to hit Arial. I'm going to hit size 12, and you'll also notice that this is really squished together and this one isn't. So I'm also going to go ahead and make sure that I'm double spaced, and I'm going to go over here into page layout and make sure that my before and after are both 0. And it is, yay. So at this point I would hit the disk. So make sure to save your work if you've been making some changes. Now there's a great button that I love on here, and that's this little, I call this the P button. It's actually called the Show Hide button. It's a great way to irritate somebody if they don't know where it is, because they can't get it off if they don't know where it is. So I'm going to click the P button, and you're going to notice that there are some different symbols in here. We've got some backwards P's, which is a standard symbol for paragraph, which shows up every time we hit enter or return. Then we've got some arrows. Okay, we've got some arrows. Then we've got lots of dots. So the dots are where your space bar has been pressed. The arrows are where the tab key has been pressed. That's on the left side of your keyboard just above your caps lock button. Okay, and again, the P's are wherever you have been pushing return or enter, whichever is on your keyboard. Okay, so right now I've taken out a couple of extra things that we didn't need. Alright, so now let's go back really quickly and let's just make sure that our heading is correct. Okay, so the heading is supposed to be, again, name, instructor's name, course and section, the date, and your assignment title. So we've got the name, we've got Carrie Case, so we've got two names. So we probably need to put something in here to make it very clear who the second name is. Okay. Then we've got this date. Now we've got to make sure that the date is formal English grammar, which means that it needs to be written out. You may write it out in American formal, or you may write it out in British formal. Okay. If you write it out in American formal, then you'll notice that you need a comma after the day, and it immediately follows the day. There's no space between the number and the comma. The space comes after the comma. Okay? But if you prefer, you can make it look like the date on here, but make sure that, again, that in this one, the European formal, that there's no punctuation in that at all. So make sure we've got that right. Okay. So now, again, formal English, which means that we're not going to Eng class, we're going to English class. Make sure that you're making changes on your paper, that you're marking your paper up as you see that you need to change this stuff. I don't expect you to change it as I'm speaking. Make sure you're marking your paper up in a very detailed manner so that you can make changes once you turn off this presentation. Okay, we do need a section. Okay, and we forgot that we also have a lab. And it does need a capital A. Now, the other thing you have to be careful of is that this looks like a paragraph. But notice that the title says illustration, paragraph, and outline. So since this isn't an outline, we're going to take that out of the title. Again, this is the assignment that I've given you. This is the title for the paper. So this is the title of the assignment. This is the title of the paper. Okay. Now that we have the heading done, let's go ahead and let's take a look at what else we need to do. Alright. Oh, one more thing. So on the heading, the date is always a question. Mrs. Case, what should I put in as the date? My rule of thumb is to put in the due date. That way the due date is always at the top of the paper and you always know exactly when it is. Now the problem is with this class you don't know exactly when the due date is. So you have to look at your assignment sheet that I passed out, okay? And it looks like it's due at the beginning of week 6, which is September 23rd to 29th, so that's next week. So I believe as of right now it's going to be due on Monday. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this September 23rd. Now the other thing that does is that keeps your instructor from knowing that you started it the night before. Because if you have the due date on it, then he doesn't know when you started it, which is good. Okay. And also make sure that in your assignment title here that illustration is capitalized and paragraph is capitalized. Now, let's go back. Okay. Alright. So create a heading on the left side, that's this. Okay. Place a header at the top right corner of each page with your last name and the page number. So this is one of the few things I will encourage you to have Word automatically do. But let me show you how to do that. So even though Ernesto did it perfectly, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it really quickly. So go in here into Insert. And using Word is a lot like driving around Charlotte. There's a million ways to get where you want to go, and there's not really any right way or any wrong way as long as you get to your destination. So if you know another way to do this, great. I'm showing you the easiest way to not make a mistake. Okay, so you can choose to follow my advice or you can choose to go your own route. Just understand that I've been doing this a very long time, and this is my advice for getting there the quickest and least difficult way. Okay, so we're going to go to Insert, and we're going to insert a page number. We're going to insert that page number on the top of the page, and you want to make sure that you're inserting it with the plain number 3 on the right. We just want the one with the number on the right. Don't play with this other stuff. If you go another way, that is not called plain number 3, it's called something else. So definitely make sure that when you do the top of the page that the number is on the right hand side. Now you'll notice that it erased Ernesto's last name. That's okay. We're just going to type it back in again. Okay? And we're going to put a space. Make sure you have a space between the name and the number. Okay? Then I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it really quickly. I'm going to click on Home. Now I'm going to make that Arial size 12. Okay? Now sometimes you're doing something in here and you want to do something again, but you can't find the tab you were just working in. Like you're obviously not, there's no close here. Like how do you get out? Well, you'll notice at the top that we have a tab here that's suddenly colored green. Well, that's the one that's the different color. Sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's green, but the one that has a color over it is the tab you're working in. So I can go back in here and I can close. Alright. Okay, so the next thing is to center the title. In addition, do not bold or underline the title or type it in all capital letters. So right now, everybody look at your titles right now and make sure that they are not bold, they are not underlined, they are not in all capital letters, they are not in a different size font, they're not in quotations, they're not in any of that stuff. They're plain and they look the same as everything else on the page. Now what you'll notice is that if we were to look straight down the middle, it doesn't look like our title is centered. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go in here into Paragraph and I'm going to see what happened. And what you'll notice, okay, let me show you how I got there. So in Paragraph, this is a formatting box. So if you remember the old Word, everything was under Format. Format Paragraph, Format Font, Format something. So that's what these little boxes are. They're your formatting tabs. So we're going to click the little box and we'll notice now that the indentation is indented 0.75. Your indentation should be 0. I'm going to make that 0. I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so now it suddenly looks pretty decent. Now the thing is that Ernesto did well because you'll notice that there's a little orange box up here. It's been pressed, and if I put my mouse over it, it says that he centered it. That's good. That's good. I'm going to turn my Show Hide button on here for just a moment because I know that some of you did it this way. Everybody knows what I'm doing here. Alright, but what we have to remember is that this tab means to indent, just like we did with the paragraph here. So it means to indent. We're not indenting the title, we're centering it. And then these spaces mean to put in a space. The dots mean spaces. We don't need space, we need to center it. So we're going to use the centering tool. So I'm going to get rid of these little things that many of you have done. And these little buttons up here are very important. So you'll notice one that says left align, one that says center, one that says right align. So you can make your title dance. Alright, okay, but we're gonna get settled down in the center. Okay. Now this one on the right hand side, I wish there was a way to pick which ones are up there, but the Justify button just needs to go bye-bye. Do not press this button. If you ever see this one pressed, it looks like center, but you have to see that in the center one, that notice that the sides are not the same. They're ski jaw, they're zigzag. This one you'll notice that the sides are straight. That's because it'll stretch out the entire line to make everything fit. We don't want to do that. See how it stretches some out, and some things are really close together and some things are really far apart. We don't want to use this Justified button. So for paragraphs it's left align. For our heading it's left align. But for our title, and only for our titles, it is centered. Okay? Alright, let's go on to the next one. Okay, indent each new paragraph 1 tab. So again, here we've indented our paragraph 1 tab. Some of you did it this way, but remember those dots are for spacing, not for indenting. So the tab is for indenting. Remember, it's on the left-hand side of your keyboard, just above your caps button. and so we're going to hit Tab. Now some of you see the little arrow and some of you don't. Okay, that's alright. If you have the Show Hide button on, then you should see it. Some of you have the little lightning bolt. Just have it stop doing whatever it's doing. Okay, and let's go back here. Okay, then it says do not put additional spaces between paragraphs. We're not really there yet. We're going to be using, essays pretty soon, but for the most part, just make sure that you understand that everything should be equally spaced from top to bottom, no matter what. Now here's the thing, all this stuff we did on the paragraph, but it also applies to the outline. As of right now, you need to treat your outline as if it is a second document, because even if it's in the same document, we need to treat it as a second document because most of your instructors are now collecting outlines as a form of rough draft. So I want you to get used to treating it as if it is a first page in a document. So because of that, everything from the title up in an outline should be identical. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to copy our entire heading and title right here. I'm going to put it where I want it, and I'm going to hit paste. So now you'll notice we have two outlines, or two titles. But the title for the outline should be the same title as we used for the paragraph, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Okay? The other thing that you'll notice is that this now says illustration paragraph as our assignment title. Should not be a paragraph. It looks something like an outline to me. Not quite the outline I'm requiring in here, but it does look like an outline. So this is not a paragraph, this is an outline. Alright, so once you're doing this and you have this title here, please make sure again that illustration is capitalized and outline is capitalized. Okay? So let's take one last look at our list and let's make sure we hit everything. So our margins are set at 1 inch. The entire paper is double spaced. We have Arial size 12. So for this class, no Times New Roman, no Calibri, but for any class, it must always be in size 12 for MLA. I believe APA is the same way, but for the most part, MLA is size 12. No title page. We need to have a heading on the left side of the page, and again, that's, this area right here on the left side of the page within the typing area, so it should not be in the header. Needs to have your name, your instructor's name, the date, the course, and the assignment title. So the only thing I'm adding is the assignment title, and you can put it in this order or you can put it in the same order as on this little list. We need a header with your last name and the page number. Again, make sure that you have a space between your name and your page number and that it is the same font as the rest of your paper. Remember to center your title using your center button. Remember that nothing on your paper should be bold or underlined or in all capital letters. Remember that we're indenting the new paragraph 1 tab and that we're not putting in any additional spaces anywhere in our paper. Okay? Well, I think that pretty much concludes basic MLA guidelines. Please make sure that you have marked your paper up. Go back through and watch the video again if you must to mark your paper up well, but please make sure you are marking your paper. And then you can either scan that in and attach it to the critique grade, to the markup grade, or you can transfer that into Word using your comments and your strike-throughs and things like that to recreate your markup of your own paper. Okay? Thank you very much. Email me or Skype me if you have any questions. Bye.